I'm just wondering how that went off. John O'Donovan was there. John, good morning.
Morning, Neil. How are you?
Good. Was this people gathered? Forgive me. Was it at the Loch Church?
No, the Turner's Cross Church.
Turner's. My apologies. From Turner's Cross. Okay.
Then a lot of people wouldn't be familiar where the office of Micheal is. As you know, it's across from the old Evergreen Bar, small little cottage.
Oh, okay. So it was a short walk then from one to the other.
It was indeed, yeah.
How many people?
There was at least 200. I said 200 to 250,
okay.
Which was a good crowd. It was late, it was 10 o'clock when I got the call that was going ahead, so I raced down there straight away.
So the gathering was 11:30. Why was that so late?
Well, that was in solidarity with our brothers and sisters that were the lads that you were speaking to earlier on.
Sure, yeah.
They were outside the convention centre in Dublin. That's why that time was picked in solidarity with what was happening in Dublin, right? And I tell you, I've seen the stuff now in Dublin, and there was a lot more passion in Turner's Cross last night, I'll be honest with you, and there was only 250 people there. And the speeches that were there, and one thing jumped out straight away, there was 3 uniformed Gardaí. I know they had to come, like one squad car would have sufficed, Neil, to watch the traffic and make people sure it didn't spill out onto the road. But there was 3 uniformed Gardaí, and there was at least 2, if not 3, plainclothes guys as well. Now, I have a major problem with the plainclothes guys there. To the same in fairness to Damon O'Reilly, who you mentioned earlier on, when he has his rallies in town, they're saturated with plainclothes guys as well.
It was. The city was. I saw them. I mean, they brought in. There was a chopper in the sky. Well, we were dealing with the unknown. They didn't know what to expect then, and as it happens, the city rallies were very peaceful. There was criticism about the mask issue and the close proximity people, but there was no trouble whatsoever.
No, there wasn't. So, I mean, again, what warranted last night, for plainclothes, detectives there came in, special branch to be there, it would have sufficed just to have the yellow jackets there, the Gardaí, one squad car to make sure that people didn't spill out onto the road. To me, that's intimidation. And something jumped out of me last night, right, was that the Gardaí, they were put on notice last night, and the terms were, with the greatest respect to the Gardaí, that was prefaced first, that if this keeps going on and our liberties are being eroded, and we keep being pushed as sovereign Irish citizens of the Irish Republic, right, ye, as the Gardaí, will have to make up your mind to either stand against the people or with the people. And as you know, Neil, the Guards don't work for the government. The Guards are impartial. That's the one thing, if you read the Guard Awards, the word impartial jumps out. That means they can't take sides, right? They don't work for the government, they work for the people. They're the guardians of the peace, right? So, I mean, if the government...
If the chief super sends 5 guards to Turner's Cross, the 5 guards go to Turner's Cross. It's not down to the individual guard to say, oh no, actually, it's my constitutional right. I
understand that, but the chief super works for you and me as well. That's why he has to be impartial as well. He works for the people.
But John, the guards are fed up of this. The rank and file guards don't want to be doing these kind of things. They're fed up of it.
But this is if we don't send them out there in the first place then. I mean, there's no need to be there half the time. Was there needs for guards to go into graveyards to monitor funerals? Was there needs for guards to set up roadblocks up in that lawn to stop people going to mass? Was there needs for guards to go into the actual church and to almost threaten and berate the priests and the parishioners inside there? What were the guards doing that? What was the local sergeant? What was his mentality?
So I understand that. So last night the guards in Cork were told you will ultimately have to pick a side. Was that confrontational?
Well, it was done in a respectful way, but I think people are exasperated at this stage. You see what's happening across in France at the moment. You have this idiot Macron, and he's decided, no, he's putting out the whole nation of France, and good luck with that, if you want to try and get away with it, Neil, that everyone must be vaccinated, which means that you won't be allowed in public transport. You also won't be allowed into the equivalent of Wilking Shopping Centre, Mahon Point, and all these places unless you're vaccinated. No, that's going against all our civil liberties, all our human rights. You cannot force a person to take a vaccine in the story. And people are terrified. This idea now that they're after extending out the sunset clause now right into October, and you may be damn well sure you'll be having a conversation or you'll be talking to someone else, that will be extended right out into next year. And people are afraid that what's been lost won't come back.
You need to, if you're questioning going into a pub, whether you're over 18 or not, or into an off license, sometimes over 23, to produce some sort of identification or proof of age.
Rather than be saying to me, show me your vaccine passport, I don't have to take a substance into my body that I had no intention of taking, or my friends in my group as well. And under data protection, nobody can ask me going into a restaurant or bar about my medical state or what I have.
Apparently they can ask you all right, but they can't store the information. That's my understanding this morning from Richard Grogan.
This thing is wide open, and it's a complete infringement of our liberties and our freedoms.
Right.
And it's this clown in France, like, I mean, is this going to come in here then that you basically won't be allowed domestic travel on number 3 and number 14 bus? You can't get on the Cork to Dublin train. I mean, where is this going to end?
No, there's no talk about vaccinated people only on public transport. There certainly is talk about people on public transport wearing masks.
Look, there was a woman there last night with us there, and some of her family there, they got vaccinated. No, if a person wants to get a vaccine, I'm not going to stop them. That's entirely your body, your choice, right? But this woman last night was telling us the story that people were doubly vaccinated, and yes, people around their company, right, I mean, got the COVID. So how in God's name, if I'm doubly vaccinated and you have a point with me, Neil, and then you get COVID, how in Christ's name did I give you COVID if I'm doubly vaccinated?
Because COVID doesn't stop you, a vaccine doesn't stop you getting COVID. It stops you getting COVID and getting very, very sick or ending up in ICU.
I know, but the very fact is, like, I mean, we were taught at the start that if you get the vaccine, that you won't transmit to others.
No, that was never. Sure, whoever said that, that's nonsense. You can still transmit.
Well, so we had, if you remember Luke O'Neill went on the Late Late Show, it's still up there, the clip on internet.
Okay. About my understanding of it, and I'm open to correction, like everything I say, is that somebody who's been vaccinated can still get COVID and pass it on. Yeah.
But, I mean, so what's the point of getting the vaccine at all?
The idea is to get everybody vaccinated. So if they get this COVID, that it won't kill them. That it will greatly reduce the damage that COVID will do to them.
There is a terrible fear, you see, in Ireland on this, the fact that young kids know, there's a mindset out there now that young kids should be vaccinated as well, and people are terrified of that.
Here's one for you before I let you go. It's always good to talk to you. Can you tell John that 200 people does not represent the city, never mind the country? That is a tiny minority.
I never said it represented Cork City. Those people came there of their own volition, right, and they were quite entitled to come to the office of the Prime Minister of this country at any stage.
Okay. Thank you, John, as always. That was last night out at Micheal Martin's constituency office on the Evergreen Road. Text 0868 104 106. We got calls, texts and comments after the break.